Welcome to this deep dive into the productivity factor by Dr. John Demartini. We're going to uncover actionable strategies for a more meaningful and productive life.
Oh, it's a fascinating read, truly packed with insights. And the way he connects actions and values, well, it's a real eye-opener.
It is. We're going to try and distill those valuable insights, especially the ones that really resonated with us, and then present a clear 10-point summary at the end of our deep dive, for easy reference.
That's a fantastic idea. So should we start with DeMartini's core argument? The one where the key to productivity lies in aligning with our highest values.
Absolutely.
What really struck me was his explanation of the neurological basis for this.
Oh, it's incredible, right?
It is. He emphasizes how pursuing these values actually strengthens specific brain cells. In our forebrain, no less, the executive center.
Imagine that. Our brains are literally wired to reward us for pursuing what genuinely matters to us.
Precisely. And conversely, living by values that are basically imposed upon us by others, that leads to internal conflict, a sense of unfulfillment.
And ultimately, inertia.
Yes,
He
exactly.
uses this really striking analogy of should versus inspired. I mean, think about it. How differently do we approach tasks when we're genuinely excited about them?
Oh, completely different. Even the challenging ones feel energizing then. It's not like those tasks we feel obligated to do, the shoulds.
Right. It's like night and day.
When we engage in work that truly inspires us, it's incredible. We experience this surge of energy and enthusiasm. It's not a burden at all.
I remember working on this documentary a while back, and the hours, honestly, they just flew by. I was completely fueled by passion. But as DeMartini points out, uninspiring work, even if it pays well, it can really take a
Oh,
toll.
absolutely. It leads to burnout and even, he says, a sense of premature aging.
He paints this very powerful picture, of how we essentially waste our lives when we're constantly spending time on things that just don't align with our true priorities.
It's a wake-up call for sure. So how do we even pinpoint those highest values?
Well, DeMartini calls it uncovering our telos, which is essentially our ultimate purpose in life. And he offers some really insightful questions to guide us in that process.
I love that he provides that structure because it can be a daunting process.
Oh, absolutely. His questions prompt some really deep introspection, like how we spend our time, what energizes us, even where our money goes. All of those things, they provide clues.
It's like a treasure hunt for our own values.
Exactly. And he even considers organization a values indicator.
Really?
It's fascinating. Where we naturally focus our energy and attention, it reveals what truly holds significance for us.
It makes sense when you think about it. It's like, where do we naturally gravitate towards? What do we instinctively organize?
Precisely. And he also prompts us to think about those who inspire us, because often the qualities we admire in them, well, they reflect values that we might not have fully acknowledged in ourselves.
Oh, that's profound. It's like looking into a mirror, but through someone else's eyes.
It is. Now, once we have a good grasp of our values, DeMartini then guides us on how to actually align our work with them. And he advocates for really scrutinizing our job duties, to assess their connection to what we hold dear.
So he's not suggesting everyone quit their jobs to become artists or chase their passions blindly.
No, not at all. He recognizes that we have responsibilities.
But he does challenge us to infuse our existing work with our values, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he asserts that when our work and values are misaligned, well, that's when we're most prone to feeling drained and frustrated.
And distracted. Let's not forget distracted. It's like we're constantly pulled in different directions.
Oh, absolutely. A universal experience. And his solution to this is remarkably innovative.
What's that?
He suggests delegating lower priority tasks to those who might actually find them inspiring.
So creating a mutually beneficial and productive environment.
Precisely. By letting go of tasks that drain us, we empower others. And it frees up our time and energy to focus on those tasks that genuinely ignite our passion.
A true win-win scenario. It's a brilliant approach.
It is. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about accountability. DeMartini has a unique perspective on this. He posits that true accountability, it originates from aligning our actions with our highest values.
It's a brilliant notion, really, because when we pursue what genuinely matters to us, well, we're inherently motivated to walk our talk.
Without needing external pressure.
Exactly. It becomes an intrinsic drive. And DeMartini cautions that, expecting others to consistently act outside their own values. Well, that sets us up for disappointment.
And potentially strained relationships.
It can breed resentment. So understanding and respecting each other's values, even when they differ from our own, is crucial.
Absolutely. And this ties beautifully into his concept of what he calls sustainable fair exchange.
Sustainable fair exchange.
It's essentially a state where both parties feel they are getting a fair deal. It's not about exploitation or one person taking advantage of the other. It's about finding that sweet spot where everyone benefits.
I like that. It's about balance and mutual respect.
Exactly. Now, Demartini's next focus is on goal setting. He advocates for setting what he calls powerful goals. And these are not just any goals.
Oh, they're specific. They're the ones that truly resonate with our highest values.
Precisely. And they evoke a strong emotional response.
He actually says something that brings a tear to your eye when you contemplate it.
It's about tapping into our core being, not just chasing fleeting desires.
It's about aligning our aspirations with what truly matters.
Absolutely. He stresses the importance of making those goals specific, measurable, breaking them down into actionable steps, essentially providing a clear roadmap.
So it's not just about dreaming big, it's about strategically planning and anticipating those potential obstacles that we might encounter.
Right. And now Demartini takes us into the realm of leadership, and he explores this fascinating link between productive leadership and living by one's values.
He argues that leaders who truly embody their values, well, they inspire their teams to do the same. It's all about leading by example.
It creates this ripple effect of inspiration and motivation. He emphasizes employee engagement and respect as crucial pillars of a successful organization.
He introduces what he calls his 5 S's of leadership.
Oh, yes. Service, strengths, study, speak, and sell. Each one contributes to effective leadership in its own way.
Okay, let's break those down a little bit. What does he mean by service?
Well, he underscores that genuine leadership is about serving others, understanding their needs, and helping them reach their full potential.
It's not about power or control, it's about empowering others.
Exactly. And Demartini cleverly links this back to values, noting that our most fulfilling moments often stem from making a positive impact on others' lives.
Strength, what about that one?
Demartini urges leaders to identify and hone their strengths and to delegate tasks that might not align with their natural abilities.
Recognizing and leveraging our unique talents for collective success. And then there's study, the continuous learning aspect.
He portrays great leaders as inherently curious, always engaged, always evolving.
Then we have speak, emphasizing the power of effective communication. Demartini encourages leaders to articulate their vision with passion and clarity. It's about inspiring others, right?
Precisely. It's about crafting a compelling narrative, not simply issuing directives.
And lastly, we have sell.
Which focuses on persuasion, but not through manipulation.
Right. It's about showcasing how those shared goals, how those aspirations can be achieved through a unified vision.
It's a win-win situation. Everyone benefits from working towards a common objective. It's remarkable how Demartini weaves these 5 S's into a comprehensive leadership framework.
It's practical, insightful, and deeply inspiring. He believes that anyone can become a great leader by embracing these principles.
Now, let's shift our focus to some common obstacles to productivity.
Those hurdles we all face at some point.
Right. Demartini explores these challenges like regrets, the fear of public speaking, and even the belief that we're too old to pursue change.
He offers strategies for overcoming each of them. For regrets, he suggests reframing them by focusing on the lessons learned and benefits gained.
It's about finding the silver lining, even in past experiences that we might view as negative.
Instead of lamenting what should have been, we learn from our mistakes. We move forward with greater wisdom.
He encourages us to view fear not as a barrier, but as a signal to prepare, to stay focused.
So fear can actually become a motivator.
When channeled effectively, yes. He also debunks the notion that age limits our potential. He shares inspiring examples of individuals achieving remarkable feats later in life.
It's a powerful reminder that our potential is boundless, regardless of our age.
Then Demartini introduces this really captivating concept called the void.
The void, what's that all about?
He suggests that identifying our deepest voids, the things we feel are missing in our lives, can actually reveal our most powerful drivers and motivations.
It's like those feelings of emptiness can guide us toward our greatest potential.
Precisely. He shares compelling stories of individuals who achieved phenomenal success by striving to fill a personal void.
Can you give us an example?
He talks about the CEO who, having grown up in poverty, developed an acute awareness of the lack of resources for underprivileged children. And this fueled his drive to establish a thriving paper company, ensuring every child had access to essential school supplies.
So his early experience of scarcity, his void, became the driving force behind his success.
And it imbued his work with his deeper meaning and purpose. His focus wasn't solely on profit. It was about making a tangible difference.
That's inspiring.
It is. Demartini's next concept, the ripple effect, is equally captivating.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this ripple effect.
He emphasizes the profound impact our actions can have on others, even in ways we might not immediately perceive.
It highlights the interconnectedness of our lives, doesn't it?
It does. Every action we take, every word we utter, every choice we make, it creates a ripple that extends outward, influencing those around us, and potentially the world at large.
Wow, it's humbling to think about our capacity to make a difference, whether big or small.
It is. And Demartini implores us to embrace this responsibility. He urges us to be mindful of our impact and to contribute positively.
So it transcends individual goals and aspirations.
Absolutely. It's about acknowledging that we're part of something far greater than ourselves and understanding that our actions have consequences, both for ourselves and those around us. He even offers an exercise to help us cultivate awareness of our ripple effects.
What kind of exercise?
He suggests we reflect on our actions daily, weekly, monthly, and consider their potential impact on others. It's about expanding our perspective beyond our immediate sphere of influence.
Looking beyond ourselves and really considering the consequences of our actions.
Exactly. He also encourages us to think about our interactions, conversations, creations, and to assess how they've shaped us and potentially influenced others,
It's recognizing the intricate web of our lives.
and appreciating that we all contribute to it in unique ways.
I love that. It's such a beautiful concept.
It is. It promotes mindfulness and positive action. And Demartini believes that this awareness actually cultivates gratitude and fulfillment. When we recognize the ripple effect, we're more likely to appreciate our impact and derive a sense of purpose and meaning.
So how about spirituality? What's Demartini's take on that?
He has a unique perspective on spirituality. He challenges conventional notions, arguing that any pursuit aligned with our highest values can be seen as a spiritual path.
So he expands it beyond religious practices or beliefs.
Precisely. He equates spirituality with aligning our actions with a profound sense of purpose and meaning,
It's about finding joy and fulfillment and pursuing what truly matters.
and connecting with something greater than ourselves. So for some, their spiritual path might involve building a successful business, while for others it might be nurturing a loving family or creating art that inspires.
Honoring those individual passions and recognizing that there are numerous paths to spiritual fulfillment.
Exactly. And Demartini emphasizes that living congruently with our values naturally taps into that sense of spirituality.
We experience expansion, gratitude, and connection.
He believes that this state of alignment is crucial for experiencing true happiness and fulfillment.
Our exploration of the productivity factor has been truly enlightening. He offers a wealth of practical advice and really insightful perspectives on leading a more meaningful and productive life.
His emphasis on aligning actions with our highest values and discovering our unique telos is profoundly transformative.
Absolutely.
And his method for transforming fear and anger into valuable feedback mechanisms, well, that's a game changer. And then his concepts of the void and the ripple effect, they challenge us to really rethink our motivations and our impact on the world.
I know, right? It's inspiring. And his unique perspective on spirituality, it encourages us to find meaning and purpose in all that we do.
Before we move on to Demartini's practical advice on overcoming obstacles, I think it's a good idea to just summarize the key takeaways so far.
I agree. Let's encapsulate the essence of what we've discussed.
Okay, so first and foremost, productivity is driven by values. Aligning our actions with our highest values is paramount to unlocking our true potential.
Second, discovering our telos, that ultimate aim or purpose in life, provides a guiding compass for our decisions and actions.
Third, aligning our work with our values, it enhances engagement and fulfillment. So finding ways to connect our daily tasks with what genuinely matters to us is key.
Fourth, accountability actually stems from living by our values. It becomes an internal compass, not an external pressure.
Fifth, set powerful goals. Those that are specific, measurable, align with our highest values, and evoke a strong emotional response.
Sixth, embrace leadership by example. Inspire others by embodying the values we wish to see reflected in our team and organization.
Seventh, reframe regrets by focusing on the lessons learned and the benefits gained from past experiences. Let's use them as stepping stones to greater wisdom.
Eighth, harness the power of the void. Let's identify what we feel is missing in our lives to really uncover those deep drivers and motivations.
Ninth, recognize our ripple effect. Let's acknowledge the profound impact our actions can have on others and the world around us, and strive to make a positive contribution.
And 10th, expand our definition of spirituality. Let's embrace any pursuit that aligns with our highest values as a path to meaning, purpose, and fulfillment.
These 10 points really encapsulate the foundational principles of Demartini's The Productivity Factor.
Yeah.
And as we delve further, we'll explore practical techniques for overcoming obstacles and maximizing our potential.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll unlock even more valuable insights. Welcome back to our deep dive into the productivity factor. Last time we explored the idea of aligning our actions with our highest values and discovering our unique telos. Remember that?
We did. And we uncovered some pretty fascinating insights on accountability, goal setting, and those 5 S's of leadership that Demartini talks about.
Oh, right. And how can we forget those common obstacles to productivity? Like lingering regrets and that ever-present fear factor.
Like those sneaky hurdles that can trip us up. But Demartini doesn't leave us hanging, does he?
He doesn't. In fact, in this part, we're going to explore his approach to actually conquering these obstacles. Particularly his method for turning fear and anger into, well, valuable feedback.
Now that sounds interesting. I'm always looking for new ways to manage my emotions effectively.
Well, get ready to be amazed. The Demartini method, it can be truly transformative, you know?
Okay, I'm all ears.
I'll
How does this method actually work?
Well, it involves pinpointing a specific emotional charge. It could be fear, anger, resentment, even infatuation, and then systematically dissecting it through a series of very targeted questions.
Okay, what kind of questions are we talking about here? Can you give us an example?
Sure, let's say you're harboring some resentment towards someone, right? Demartini would have you list out the benefits that have actually emerged from that relationship or situation.
Oh, interesting. So it's about shifting our focus, looking for potential positives instead of just dwelling on the negatives.
Exactly. He also encourages us to reflect on how that situation might have actually contributed to our personal growth, maybe imparted some valuable lessons along the way.
So it's like finding that hidden order, amidst the apparent chaos.
That's a great way to put it. He believes very strongly that every experience, even the ones that initially seem negative, holds some valuable teaching.
So it's all about reframing our perspective, right? Embracing a more holistic viewpoint.
And by doing so, you can actually neutralize that emotional charge, break free from the grip of resentment or anger or whatever it is.
But it's not about suppressing or ignoring those emotions completely, is it?
No, not at all. He's actually an advocate for examining them closely, really understanding their message.
And then using that newfound understanding to craft a more empowered, a more balanced response.
Now, let's see how the Demartini method applies to that ever-present obstacle, fear.
Ah, yes. Fear. A topic near and dear to my heart, especially when it comes to public speaking.
Oh, you and everyone else. Demartini actually dedicates an entire section of his book to conquering this common phobia.
He does. I didn't realize that. Tell me more.
Well, he starts by outlining 7 primary fears that tend to plague people, when they have to speak in public.
Okay, let's hear him. What are those 7 fears?
Well, the first is the fear that someone in the audience might be, well, more intelligent.
Ouch. I can definitely relate to that one.
Second, there's the fear that someone has achieved, more success in business.
That one too, unfortunately.
Third is the fear that someone might be wealthier.
I think I'm seeing a pattern here.
And the fourth one is the fear that someone might enjoy a more stable family dynamic.
Okay, getting a little too close to home now.
Right. And fifth, there's the fear that someone wields greater influence, maybe has a wider social network, that kind of thing.
So basically, it all boils down to comparing ourselves to others and feeling inadequate.
Precisely. Demartini argues that this kind of comparison, it inevitably leads to self-sabotage.
It takes our focus away from our own unique path, making us fixate on those perceived shortcomings.
And he identifies 2 more fears, just to round out the list.
Are there more?
Yep, the fear of someone being healthier or more physically attractive, and then the fear of someone being more spiritually evolved.
So essentially, we fear judgment in virtually every aspect of life.
And Demartini's point is that these fears, they come from an imbalanced perspective, where we magnify the perceived negatives without really acknowledging the positives.
So how do we use the Demartini method to actually overcome these pretty ingrained fears?
Well, he suggests that we first pinpoint the specific fear that's holding us back and then dissect it, through a series of questions designed to kind of neutralize its grip.
Can you walk us through an example?
Sure, let's take the fear of public speaking again. Let's say it stems from that worry that someone in the audience might be intellectually superior, right? Demartini would encourage you to actually think about the benefits of having such a person present.
Hmm, that's a good point. I suppose it could be a valuable opportunity to expand my knowledge.
Exactly. He might also ask you to consider how this fear of appearing less intelligent might have actually served you in the past.
Well, it probably pushed me to prepare more thoroughly, which is a positive outcome.
Right. And he'd also challenge you to think about how your assumed lack of intelligence might actually benefit the audience. Maybe your perspective as someone who's not an expert could resonate more effectively with them.
So it's about reframing the situation, highlighting the potential positives instead of dwelling on those perceived negatives.
And by doing so, you can neutralize the fear and approach public speaking with a lot more confidence, a lot more composure.
It's like acquiring this mental toolkit to dismantle those fears, brick by brick.
He provides similar techniques for addressing each of the 7 primary fears. It's really a systematic process of challenging our assumptions and reframing our outlook.
So it's not about denying that fear exists, it's about choosing a more empowered response.
Now let's talk about anger. Demartini actually sees it as a valuable feedback mechanism.
Really, that's pretty different from how we typically think about anger.
It is a bit unconventional. But he argues that anger arises from unmet expectations, particularly those that are unrealistic.
So it's not necessarily the situation itself that triggers the anger, but our interpretation of it.
Right. And he proposes that when anger surfaces, well, it's a signal for us to examine those expectations and to see how they align with reality.
It makes sense when you think about it. If we cling to expectations that are unlikely to materialize, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment and frustration.
And that frustration often manifests as anger. He encourages us to ask, what's the hidden order in this situation? What can I learn from this experience?
So even in those moments of anger, there's a potential silver lining, an opportunity for growth.
And he suggests that by reframing our perspective, we can actually transform anger into a catalyst for learning and personal development.
He has a knack for flipping those seemingly negative emotions into opportunities for self-improvement.
It's about taking ownership of those emotions and, using them to create a more fulfilling and productive life.
The Demartini method really resonates with me. It's about taking control, instead of letting those thoughts and perceptions control us.
And that really is Demartini's core message. We have the power to choose how we respond to any situation. And by aligning those choices with our highest values, well, we can unlock our true potential and cultivate a life of meaning and productivity.
Beautifully said. We've learned so much from exploring these insights on fear, anger, and this transformative Demartini method.
But our journey's not over yet. We'll be back for part 3, where we uncover those fascinating concepts of the void and the ripple effect. And we'll dive into his unique perspective on spirituality and, the power of aligning our lives with those deepest values.
Stay tuned for the final chapter of our exploration into the productivity factor. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the productivity factor. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From aligning actions with values, discovering our telos, to even tackling those tricky obstacles like fear and anger.
We have. But there's still more to uncover. Today we're diving into 2 captivating concepts that Demartini highlights: the void and the ripple effect.
Let's start with the void.
Yeah.
What exactly is Demartini getting at with this idea?
Well, he suggests that identifying our deepest voids, those things we feel are missing in our life, those gaps, they can actually reveal our most powerful drivers, the things that really motivate us.
It's not about ignoring those feelings of emptiness, those voids. It's about understanding them.
Exactly. He encourages us to embrace those voids, to explore them, and to try and decode the messages they hold. He even suggests that our voids, those feelings of emptiness, can act as signposts, They can guide us towards our greatest potential.
He makes a compelling argument that many highly accomplished individuals actually achieved extraordinary things by striving to fill a personal void.
He does. Do you have a good example from the book?
There's a story about this distinguished cell biologist who won a Nobel Prize for his research on the cell cycle. Fascinating story, really.
Wow, a Nobel Prize winner. What was his void?
Well, he grew up believing that the people raising him were his biological parents, only to discover later in life that the one he thought was his sister was actually his mother.
Oh, wow. That must have been a huge shock, a life-altering revelation.
It was. And Demartini suggests that this void, this lack of awareness about his true origins, might have actually fueled his passion, his drive to unravel those mysteries of life at a cellular level.
It's like he was driven to unlock those secrets of creation because of the void in his own origin story.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And Demartini shares other compelling examples, like Sir Isaac Newton, who grew up without a father and devoted his life to understanding the laws of the universe.
So these personal voids, those feelings of lacking something, they can actually shape our passions or pursuits.
And Demartini encourages us to really look inward, to explore our own voids, to understand what truly motivates us at our core.
To see those voids not as weaknesses, but as something that can drive us.
Exactly.
Hmm.
He suggests asking ourselves some tough questions. What do I feel is missing in my life? Or what are my deepest longings, my deepest fears? These are powerful questions for self-reflection.
They are. They force us to confront, maybe even embrace those vulnerabilities. But DeMartini also cautions against dwelling in those voids, right?
Absolutely. He doesn't want us to get stuck there. It's about harnessing the energy of those voids,
Yeah.
using them as fuel to propel us towards our goals and aspirations. It's about transforming those perceived weaknesses into sources of strength and motivation.
I love that. Now, what about this ripple effect?
Well, the ripple effect highlights something really profound, the impact our actions have on others, and not just in ways that are immediately obvious.
It speaks to that interconnectedness we were talking about earlier, right? How our lives are all intertwined.
It does. DeMartini emphasizes that every action we take, every word, every choice, it creates this ripple that extends outward. It influences those around us, and maybe even the world as a whole.
It's a pretty powerful thought, isn't it? That we all have the capacity to make a difference.
It is. And he urges us to embrace this responsibility, to be mindful of our impact, and to strive to make that impact a positive one.
It's not just about our own individual goals anymore. It's bigger than that.
Absolutely. It's about acknowledging that we're part of something much greater than ourselves. And DeMartini offers an exercise for cultivating awareness of those ripple effects.
Tell me about that. What does he suggest we do?
He suggests that we pause and really think about our actions daily, weekly, even monthly, and consider how they might be affecting others. It's about broadening our perspective beyond our immediate circle, beyond what's right in front of us.
Expanding our awareness.
Yes. And he also encourages us to reflect on those interactions, our conversations, even the things we create, and to ask ourselves how they have shaped us and how they might have influenced others.
We start to see those connections, that web that links us all together. It's pretty amazing, really.
It's inspiring, and it promotes mindfulness and positive action. And DeMartini believes that this awareness, this recognition of our ripple effect, actually leads to greater gratitude and deeper fulfillment.
Because we can see that we are making a difference, even in small ways.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears and explore DeMartini's take on spirituality.
Spirituality. A topic with so many interpretations.
It is. DeMartini offers a pretty unique perspective on it. He challenges those conventional notions, suggesting that any pursuit that's aligned with our highest values can be considered a spiritual path.
So it's not just about traditional religious practices or beliefs. It's much broader than that.
It is. He defines spirituality as aligning our actions with our deepest sense of purpose and meaning.
Finding that joy, that fulfillment in pursuing what truly resonates with our souls.
And connecting with something bigger than ourselves. So for some, that might involve building a successful business. For others, it might be nurturing a loving family or creating art.
There are so many paths to spiritual fulfillment. It's about honoring those individual passions.
Exactly. And he emphasizes that when we live congruently with our values, when our actions reflect what we truly believe in, we naturally tap into that sense of spirituality.
It become almost effortless.
We experience a sense of expansion, gratitude, and connection with something greater than ourselves. And he believes this state of alignment is crucial, for experiencing genuine happiness and fulfillment in life.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the productivity factor, let's revisit those 10 key takeaways. They provide a great framework, a roadmap for aligning our lives with our values and unlocking that potential within us.
They do. So just as a reminder, Number 1, productivity is driven by aligning our actions with those highest values.
Number 2 is all about discovering our telos, our ultimate aim. It's that guiding compass for our journey.
Number 3, we've got to find ways to bring meaning into our work by connecting it to our values.
Number 4 reminds us that true accountability comes from within, from living in accordance with those values.
Number 5, setting powerful goals specific, measurable, and aligned with what truly matters to us. Goals that ignite our passion.
Number 6 encourages us to lead by example, embodying the values we want to see reflected in those around us.
Number 7, reframing regrets as opportunities. They become stepping stones for growth and learning.
Number 8 is all about embracing those voids, those feelings of emptiness, and seeing them as a source of motivation.
Number 9, recognizing our ripple effect and understanding that our actions can truly make a difference.
And then finally, number 10, embracing a broader perspective on spirituality, finding meaning and purpose in pursuing those highest values.
These 10 principles offer a powerful framework for creating a life of purpose, productivity, and profound fulfillment. We encourage you to explore the productivity factor further and uncover the wealth of wisdom it holds. And until next time, keep diving deep into the pursuit of a life aligned with your truest self.